Can you believe what you are imagining is true? Can you believe that you are the man or woman that you want to be and remain faithful to that assumption? If you can, nothing can stop it from becoming a fact. Imagination is the beginning of all creation, not a fantasy, but a spiritual reality. Close your eyes, if only for a moment, not to escape this world, but to awaken to a greater one. For there, behind the veil of appearances, lies the true power, your imagination, and it is within this sacred faculty that all things begin, all worlds are born, and every destiny is shaped. Everything begins with an image, not drawn on canvas, nor captured by lens, but formed within the secret chamber of the mind, the unseen world of imagination. It is there that all true creation begins. To the ordinary man, imagination is but a fleeting thing, a daydream, a soft escape, a playground of idle fancy. But to the awakened, imagination is the first cause, the living essence from which all form flows. What is seen is the shadow, what is imagined is the light. You walk through life believing that you are reacting to reality, but I tell you, you are projecting it. Every circumstance, every person, every unfolding scene is the outer crystallization of the images you hold within. There is nothing that appears on the stage of your life that did not first appear in the theater of your mind. Imagination is not weak. It is not subordinate. It is divine law in action, and it creates whether you believe it or not. When you imagine, you do not merely entertain pictures, you touch the substance of things not yet seen. Your imagination is not some internal cinema for distraction. It is the instrument of your becoming. Whatever you can imagine yourself to be and feel to be true, that you will become. The law does not ask if it is reasonable. The law does not consult evidence. It only asks, what image do you persist in holding? For that which you inwardly accept, the world must outwardly reflect. Now consider this: the house you live in, the clothes you wear, the work you do, even the beliefs you hold about yourself. All of these were once imaginal acts. You may not have been aware of them, for most create in sleep, imagining with worry, fear, doubt, and repetition. But that makes no difference to the law. It works in light or darkness. It works with vision or blindness. You may call it fate, but it is imagination, unnoticed. The tragedy of man is not that he lacks power, but that he uses power blindly. He believes his life is shaped by outer causes, by other people, the economy, his upbringing, his age, and yet beneath all those appearances lies the root, the imaginal activity of the individual. Change the image within, and the facts without must alter. It may come subtly or with thunder, but it must come. Let us suppose you are poor in money, in health, or in love. You may try to change these things through effort or force, through struggle or pleading, but all of that is rearranging shadows. True change comes not by pushing the outer, but by assuming a new image within, one that contradicts the senses and yet feels as though it were real. When you persist in that inner image, when you live with it, nurture it, feel it, and return to it day after day, it must come to pass. That is the creative act. So I say to you, do not dismiss your imagination. Do not relegate it to fiction or fantasy. Treat it as sacred. Begin to see it as the workshop of God. When you close your eyes and see yourself as the man or woman you desire to be, you are not pretending, you are creating. And if you will believe in that image more than in the facts of today, then tomorrow will bear witness to your belief. You must dare to imagine boldly. You must not shrink from the richness of your desire. Imagination is not limited by what has been. It is not bound by history. It only asks, what will you now accept as true of yourself? What will you inwardly claim, though the world call you mad for it? For that which you claim, if claimed in feeling and persistency, shall surely be made manifest. You may say, but I have imagined good things and they did not come to pass. And I say, perhaps you imagined them as a spectator, not as a participant. To imagine is not to observe, it is to enter into. You must become one with the image. You must feel from it, not merely think of it. To imagine yourself wealthy while feeling poor is not creation, it is contradiction. The image must be accepted emotionally, not just mentally. It must carry the tone of conviction. That tone is what draws the unseen into the seen. And so, every day, practice, not in effort, but in stillness. Withdraw from the noise and enter the silence. See yourself as you desire to be, not as a hope, but as a fact. Hear the voices that would praise you. See the evidence that would confirm your change. Smile as though the transformation were already complete. That inner act, repeated and cherished, will produce results beyond logic. Do not wait for permission. The world is not your judge, it is your mirror. And if today it reflects limitation, do not fight the mirror. Instead, change the image. Let your imagination be so vivid, so rich, so real, that it becomes more compelling than the facts of today. For imagination is not fantasy. It is the seed of tomorrow. It is the spiritual prototype, the invisible cause, the blueprint of the life yet to be seen. Persist, and the facts will follow. Not because you forced them, but because you formed them first in silence, then in substance. That is the law. That is creation. That is your power. To live as if your wish is fulfilled is to think from the end, not of the end. Written in a Neville Goddard-inspired style, without subheadings, conclusions, or references to him by name. To live as if your wish is fulfilled is to awaken to a truth that has long been hidden beneath the surface of ordinary thought. It is to grasp the great secret of conscious creation, that the outer world is not the cause, but the result. You are not a creature of circumstance, but a creator of circumstance. And the moment you learn to think from the end rather than of the end, you step into a realm where nothing is impossible. When you think of the end, you remain apart from it. You see it as something distant, an event to one day occur, a possibility to be hoped for, a desire to be chased. But when you think from the end, you occupy it. You claim it as real now. You assume its presence, not its future arrival. This is the only difference between longing and fulfillment. One looks toward, the other stands within. Many speak of their dreams, yet continue to live from the position of the one who lacks them. They pray for healing while identifying as the sick. They desire abundance while waking daily in the feeling of poverty. They visualize success while quietly believing in their failure. And then they say the law does not work, but the law never fails. Only their application of it falters, for they have thought of the end, not from it. To think from the end is not mere imagination. It is identification. It is the act of becoming. You must assume the role inwardly, even when all outer signs deny it. You must carry yourself in thought and feeling as one who already is, already has, already knows the joy of fulfillment. This is not arrogance. This is faith. It is the recognition that your inner state is the true cause and that the world must conform to it in time. Imagine now that your wish has been granted. Not tomorrow, not next month, but now. Imagine that the thing you once longed for is already yours. How would you move? How would you feel? What words would you speak? What peace would you carry? The answers to these questions are the keys to the state you must assume. And the assumption of that state, when sustained with feeling, is what brings it forth into the visible world. You cannot create what you do not inwardly possess. You cannot harvest where you have not sown. The state must first be claimed in the unseen before it is born in the seen. So ask yourself not, when will it happen, but am I dwelling in the feeling of its completion? For you may speak the right words, make the right effort, even rehearse the right scene, but if you do so from a place of separation, you will only strengthen the distance between you and your desire. Every man is self-made, but few are self-aware. They build their lives by habit, assumption, and mood, and never realize that the inner speech they carry each day is the blueprint of their world. You are always thinking from some state. The question is it the state of your fulfilled wish or the state of its absence? To live from the end is to refuse to be fooled by appearances. It is to walk by the inner eye, not by the outer senses. It is to know that your feeling is more powerful than your facts, and that the present is nothing but an echo of your past assumptions. When you live from the end, you take your attention away from delay, from effort, from struggle. You place it instead on the tone, the atmosphere, the mood of already being the one you long to be. Think of the actor who plays a role with such depth that the audience believes every word, every gesture, every silence. He does not pretend. He becomes, and in becoming he brings forth that character into flesh and voice. So must you become the self you desire to be. You must walk in that role until it is no longer a performance, but a truth, until the outer world has no choice but to recognize the change you have already accepted inwardly. The law is impartial. It responds not to pleading nor to need, but to the feeling of being. If you feel yourself to be a thing, the world will echo that feeling. The facts may delay, but they cannot deny the image you hold as true. That is the power of assumption. That is the power of thinking from the end. Even now, in this moment, you can test this truth. Take a desire of your heart and step into it, not with longing, but with ownership. Speak from it, move from it. Say, I am, not I will be. And though your senses may protest, your inner world will begin to shift. And when the inner shifts, the outer must follow. Do not wait for permission from the world to feel joy, peace, or power. Feel it now, and the world will rearrange itself accordingly. Your desire is not a place to arrive at. It is a place to create from. The end is not the conclusion. It is the starting point of a new identity. Begin there, and everything else shall be added unto you. The feeling of having is the substance that hardens into the seen world. Written entirely in the style of Neville Goddard, deeply immersive, without subheadings, conclusion, or any mention of his name. All things are made from feeling. The world you behold is not built upon effort, not sculpted by circumstance, not governed by outside law, but born from the secret substance that molds reality itself, your feeling. It is not the words of your mouth, nor the images of your mind alone that shape your life, but the feeling they carry. For what you feel as true, you create as fact. Feeling is not emotion in the shallow sense. It is not excitement, nor is it sentiment. Feeling in its creative dimension is the deep knowing, the quiet conviction that something is. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are conscious of being. And the way you become conscious of being anything is by feeling its reality in the present moment. You may dream of riches, speak of success, visualize love, and plan your future, yet if the feeling you live in is one of lack, one of separation, one of doubt, then that feeling shall be your creation. You may say, I am wealthy, but if you feel poor, you will not deceive the law that brings all things to pass. For it is your inner conviction, not your outer affirmation, that molds the clay. To feel the wish fulfilled is to enter a state where the desired is no longer a future hope, but a present fact. Though unseen by others, it is real to you. You walk in it, breathe in it, move in it. You begin to think, to act, to live as one who already possesses that which once seemed distant. This state of being, this feeling of having, is the spiritual prototype. The body of the thing is born from this invisible soul. Without it, your actions are but empty gestures, your prayers but hollow words. Everything begins with feeling. If you want to know what your future holds, ask yourself, what do I truly feel to be true about myself right now? Not what do I wish, not what do I say, but what do I feel when no one else is listening? For the world is your mirror, and it reflects not what you claim in passing, but what you feel in persistence. You may wonder how to generate the feeling of something not yet seen, how to feel abundance in the face of debt, health in the shadow of illness, success while surrounded by failure. The answer is faith. Faith is not blind belief. It is the art of assuming the unseen with such intensity that it becomes more real to you than the seen. You lift your eyes from appearances and turn inward to the world of cause. There, in imagination, you feel what it is like to be the one you desire to be, not as a wish, but as a fact. You rehearse the tones of fulfillment not in words, but in atmosphere. You dwell in the mood of your desire's completion. You wake in the morning and rest in the evening with the same silent knowing. It is done. And though the facts may still protest, you do not waver. You hold fast to the inner feeling, for it is your contract with the unseen, your evidence of things not yet visible. The world responds to this inner state as surely as a shadow responds to form. The law cannot be cheated, nor can it be fooled. If you live in the feeling of being unloved, unworthy, unnoticed, the world will play its part in proving you right. But change the feeling. Live instead in the feeling of being cherished, admired, valued, and all things will shift to echo that new tone. You need not instruct the world to do so. It will obey the vibration of your being without resistance. This is why effort alone cannot create. Work born of fear or desperation cannot bear the fruits of joy. A man may labor day and night for a thing he inwardly believes he is unworthy of and never receive it. But another who quietly and consistently lives in the feeling of already having will find that the world yields its treasure without strain. For feeling is the secret bridge from the invisible to the visible. It is the unseen substance that forms the mode of experience. You may choose any state to dwell in, and by sustained feeling, it will become your dwelling place in fact. You are not held by the chains of your past, nor by the weight of the world. You are held only by the feelings you consent to occupy. No one can give them to you. No one can impose them on you. They are yours to choose, yours to nourish, yours to embody. So practice the sacred act of feeling, not with tension, but with surrender. Enter the silence, and there, in the hidden place of consciousness, clothe yourself in the tone of fulfillment. Let it sink deep. Let it become familiar. Let it be more than a visit. Let it be home. For as you feel, so shall you be. And as you persist in that feeling, the world will become the living image of your inner conviction. Everything you seek is already prepared. The table is set. The door is open. The way is made. But you must enter in by feeling. That is the key. That is the law. That is the unseen power by which all things are made. Faithful assumption reshapes the outer world to match the inner state. Delivered entirely in the style of Neville Goddard, contemplative, immersive, richly metaphysical, with no subheadings, no conclusion, no mention of his name. Everything seen is the reflection of what is believed within. The outer world, with all its movement and form, is but a shadow cast by the light of inner assumption. You do not change your life by manipulating the external. You transform it by adjusting what you assume to be true. A faithful assumption, one that is held without wavering, will clothe itself in facts. The world responds not to what is momentarily imagined, but to what is persistently assumed and felt as true. Assumption is not idle fantasy. It is a conscious act of creation, the acceptance of a new identity, the birth of a new state of consciousness. Every event in your life, whether welcomed or feared, was first accepted within, not always deliberately, but consistently. Most men do not realize that they are living in states and that these states are self-chosen through what they assume, feel, and repeat inwardly. They believe they are reacting to life, but in truth they are reacting to their own belief, echoed back to them by life. To assume a thing is to claim it. It is to wear it inwardly before it is visible outwardly. When a man assumes that he is successful, he does not wait for the world to applaud before he feels it. He walks, speaks, and thinks from that place, not toward it, and the world, though it may resist at first, must eventually conform. For the outer world is not sovereign. It is obedient. It mirrors the sustained feeling of being. But here lies the challenge. Many make assumptions only to discard them when the facts deny them. They assume wealth, but then a bill arrives and they return to the old state of lack. They assume health, but a symptom appears and they surrender to fear. They assume love, but when nothing changes in a day, they revert to loneliness, and so the world remains unchanged. Not because the law failed, but because the assumption was not faithful. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is the steadfastness that holds to the end even when nothing around affirms it. Faithful assumption is not momentary. It is not moved by appearances. It is the stillness that knows the truth behind the veil. It is the inner eye that sees beyond sense and dares to believe in what the world calls impossible. For what the world calls fact, faith calls echo. And what faith calls real, the world must eventually confirm. You are not here to beg life for change. You are here to declare the change within and to remain true to it. The moment you assume a new state and accept it in feeling, you become that which you have assumed. The seed is planted. You may not see the flower today or tomorrow, but it is already yours. Every day you return to that feeling, you water the seed. Every time you resist the pull of the old story, you nourish its roots. And when it is ready, it blossoms in ways the mind could never predict. This is not a matter of effort. It is a matter of fidelity. You do not struggle to create. You yield to the state already prepared for you. In your Father's house are many mansions, many states, and you choose the one in which you will dwell, the mansion of peace, the mansion of abundance, the mansion of love. You choose not by outer action, but by inner acceptance, by assumption. No man can consistently assume a thing and not see its reflection. You may delay it, you may doubt it, you may even abandon it, but the law remains. What you accept within must express itself without. You have never lived a moment that was not preceded by an inner claim. Some of these claims were unconscious, habitual, inherited. Others were born of deep desire and focused imagination, but all were assumptions, and every one bore fruit. So I urge you now to ask yourself, what am I assuming to be true of myself, of others, of life? Am I faithful to the vision I have chosen, or do I waver with every wind of circumstance? For the faithful assumption is the mother of miracles. It is the cause of all transformation. When you feel yourself to be changed inwardly, when you inhabit that new state and return to it even in silence, the world cannot help but reflect it. It is law. You must dare to believe more in your assumption than in the evidence to the contrary. The world may show you old reflections, fragments of states long abandoned. Pay them no mind. Do not argue with the mirror. Replace the image. Restore the feeling. Return again and again to the assumption that aligns with your desire, not as a task, but as your dwelling place. You are always becoming what you assume yourself to be, whether you do so consciously or not. The world will bear witness. So assume with wisdom, assume with love, assume with boldness, and above all, assume with faith. For the faithful assumption reshapes everything, not by force, but by the quiet certainty that what is felt within must soon be seen without. You have heard now that the world you experience is not separate from the world you imagine. That which you call real begins not in matter, but in mind, and not simply in thought, but in the feeling of the assumed truth. Imagination is not a tool to decorate reality, it is the source of it. When you awaken to this, life ceases to be a reaction and becomes a deliberate act of creation. The great misunderstanding of man is that he must earn, struggle, or wait to become what he desires. But all becoming begins within. The moment you dare to live from the end, not to think of your desire as something to be reached, but to stand within it as already yours, then the journey is over. You have already arrived, and what you assume faithfully, what you embody in feeling, will unfold around you without strain. It is not ambition that makes dreams real, but alignment with the state of already having. The feeling of fulfillment is not the result of manifestation, it is its cause. Your world takes shape around your persistent inner tone, and so you must choose that tone carefully. No one else can do it for you. You must feel for yourself what it is to be the one you wish to be, and remain loyal to that inner truth, no matter what the outer facts may say. For all transformation begins with assumption. And assumption, when it is sustained, becomes identity. And identity, when felt as natural, becomes fact. So assume the highest, dwell in the richest states of mind. Feel the joy before the harvest. Walk in the peace before the resolution. Rest in the knowing that what is held in the silence of consciousness will one day speak aloud in the visible world. You are not here to chase your desires. You are here to embody them. And by the law that governs all things, as you assume, you become. As you persist, you create. As you feel, you give birth to form. This is the secret, hidden in plain sight. This is the treasure buried in the field of self. And when you find it, everything changes. Not because the world has shifted, but because you have.